What's up, everybody? Sam Jordan here from Deacon Leather Co. And today we're going to be learning how to make traditional sleigh bells. Okay, so these would be hung on somebody's doorknob, just like right through here. And they make obviously like a really nice jingle bell type sound when the door opens. And people love to hang these up, for their holiday decorations. They make an excellent gift, a phenomenal gift, or if you're trying to sell them at like a craft fair or maybe in your own store. These are really something that people love, and not a whole lot of people out there making them, particularly of this quality. Typically what you'll see for like sleigh bells or like jingle bell type things is bells made out of tin that are sort of cheaply assembled, very gimmicky, that they don't give you that emotional response that the traditional bells do, because they can't replicate the same sound. The solid brass pedal bells, as they're called, have a very distinct sound, and when put together they make, like I said, an excellent gift or an item to sell in your store. So today I'm going to show you exactly how I made these, and you can modify this however you see fit. You can do 1 or 10 bells if you really wanted to. And so let's get started here, and I'm going to show you how I made this. The traditional way to do this, or so I've read anyways. I'm trying to really go for a traditional setup here. What I don't want is like the cheap kind of like tin sounding bells that you'll see at like Hobby Lobby that are just like gimmicky Christmas junk. Like I really want to make like an heirloom quality, which like I'm starting to hate that term because it's so overused, but really like that's what I'm trying to make, is something that is gonna last a really long time, where like if you give it as a gift, people are gonna open it up and be like, damn, that is nice, like I really like that, and they're gonna be proud to put it in their house. This is definitely optional. You're not gonna need something like this, but like if you're cutting a strap, obviously you're gonna need some type of strap cutter. This is what I have. There's also like the wooden ones that work really well. If you don't have that, that's fine. All you need is a ruler and a straight edge, and just cut it with an X-Acto knife or something. So don't get stressed out about going out and buying that. So you got your leather, you got your bells, you got your O-ring. The tools are really going to be kind of like work with what you got here. The only ones that are sort of going to be not optional are some type of a hole punch. You're going to need a knife for a couple of things, nothing too extreme, but you're going to need some sort of a sharp knife. I like this one. I love this one, particularly because it's got like a nice point on it, and I can kind of clean up some of the cuts that we're going to make here. You're going to need something to slick your edges down. I really think that you should do that. You don't have to, but it looks so much better if you do. I got tried and true old Tokenol here, but I think that like saddle soap would work just fine. Some type of heavy canvas to help you slick down your edges. Optional, but keep your knife sharp. You're gonna need some type of mallet or hammer to hit your hole punches here. This is a Berry King mallet. I love it. You don't need one like this because they're a little on the expensive side. So if you've got something else, go for it. Like do whatever you need to do there. You're gonna need to be able to measure. I like these little machinist rulers. All right, a couple of the other sort of like decorative tools here that I have. I've got a Gonf number 4 double, or well, I guess it's a single edge creaser. Makes one creasing line, and that's number 4. We're gonna give that a shot. This is a new tool I just picked up. This is like a true like single line creaser. Saddlers call this a tickler, which I think is kind of funny. This is a number 1 that I got from Horseshoe Brand Tools. Definitely optional. You do not need this at all. This just makes a decorative crease at the end. I like to use an awl. Again, very optional. You could use a nail and be just fine.
And one other sort of thing, we're gonna be putting belt keepers on here. Like, you know, the loops that you slide your belt through, we're gonna be installing those. So in order to secure those, that way they don't sort of fall apart, you're going to want, I'm personally gonna sew mine. You don't have to. I've seen those staples that Tandy Leather makes, and I would bet you anything those would be just perfect for this type of a job, because it's gonna see almost zero wear and tear. Like, this isn't going on a horse. Like, this is gonna be hanging on somebody's door handle. And I don't think that's like skimping out on quality. I don't think that will break down. I just don't have any. Yeah, I'm gonna sew mine. So if you're gonna sew it, you're gonna need, I don't have my sewing needles laid out, but you're gonna need thread needles, obviously. This is 100% optional as well. This is called a loop stick, or like a blocking stick. And I'm gonna use this to form my keepers. So I got this from Abbey, England in a set of like a whole bunch of different sizes. What you can do alternatively is go to the hardware store and pick up a piece of wood that's the appropriate size, and it is gonna cost you like $3, and that will be just fine. So don't feel like you gotta get these. All right, let's get started. I want my first bell to be probably about here. And the reason for that is I wanna leave enough distance for a belt keeper to go right there. So I'm just going to arbitrarily sort of pick there. Why not? And then what I'm going to do is I am going to mark 70 millimeters between each bell. And I think that that is going to give me enough space to put a keeper in between each one. And then if I go 70 mil, all the way down for 5 bells, I think that will look good. Now the way that I am going to do this is I'm going to get my center finding ruler. If you guys don't have a center finding ruler, you are truly missing out on a miraculous measuring device. So I'm gonna move some of this stuff out of the way. All right, and the way that a center finding ruler works is you make sure each side is equidistant, and I'm going to put a mark right there in the middle. And that is dead center, right there. So I'm probably gonna have to kind of wet down this loop here. I might even take a little bit, I might put a little gouge in it on the flesh side, but for right now, we'll just worry about this. So, now let's go 70 mil all the way down. So I'm just gonna put a tiny little mark, not piercing the grain just yet, because I want to ensure that it is actually center. Yeah, see, when I eyeballed it, I was about 1 mil off. There. And now I can jump back to this and look, and dead nuts, 70 mil. Okay, so I'm not gonna show you the rest of them, but I'm just gonna make 5 little indentations where I'm going to start making the holes to insert these bells. All right, so here's what I'm gonna do. This is the way that, obviously I need like a hole big enough to accommodate this piece. This needs to go through the leather just like that. And you might look at it and go, oh wait, that's not gonna get through far enough. But that's actually okay. you probably don't even want the whole entire, like you don't want it to be the whole hole sticking out. You want, or I think you would want part of it, because what's gonna happen is it's gonna hold nice and snug. Okay, so anyways, yeah, we gotta figure out how to make a hole that accommodates this, but not too big because you don't want it flopping around. So here's what I'm thinking I'm gonna do. Since I don't have the appropriate sized punch, I'm gonna do this. I am going to measure this 4 mil. Yeah, 4 mil. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a 5 mil punch. Then what I need to do is I need to determine how long it is. 13.5 millimeters. It's sort of rounded, so it's a bit of a challenge to get a super accurate read on it. I'm gonna call it 13.5, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna round up to 14 mil. Okay, so 14 mil long, 5 mil high. That's what we are attempting to accomplish. Now we've got our center holes here. So what I'm thinking I'm gonna do is, the 5 mil high is already taken care of by this, but what we need is 14 wide. So what I'm gonna do is go back through with my center finding ruler. You don't need a center finding ruler for this, but line it back up so it's aligned right with that 0. And now what I can do is I can go 7 on each side of this line. So I'm gonna go 5, 6, 7 is here. So 5, 6, 7, I think that's 7. Gosh, my eyes are getting bad. Okay. So now I should have a line all the way across. It's about 14 mil long. And then my punch is 5 mil high. And here's what we're gonna do. Obviously, you need to make sure that this is in a straight line. You can't have it all cockeyed. So it would probably even be better if you had like a machinist square and you could make sure that that was 100% lined up. I'm pretty comfortable with that right there. It might not look like it from the camera's perspective, but I think that's pretty square. So I'm gonna have to get in close here to do this. I'll show you. Okay, so what I've done there is my center holes here. From here to here is 7 mil. And then I'm going to punch a hole right here, and it's going to touch this line. And then from here to here is 7 mil. And then from here to here is my 14. And once those two are punched, I am going to basically, this doesn't really matter because this is going to get cut, but I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to cut that out. Just like you would if you were cutting out the center of a belt. That way the little prong for the buckle could go through, like what you would usually use a bag punch for. Same thing, only just on a much smaller scale. So if you had the correct punch, this would be no big deal. Just pop it right out. I don't have that tool right now. If it turns out that I like this and I kind of get some interest in these as like a seasonal item, I'm for sure going to go buy one of these punches because this is sort of annoying, but we can be flexible. Okay, I'm going to punch this out real quick and show you what I got. So there's my 2 holes punched. Let's see if I can. Gonna connect these 2 holes. And you might have to go and clean this up a bit. All right. These bells are gonna drive me nuts. All right, let's see how we did. Oh yeah. Look at that, perfect. Dead nut center, not too much play, just enough. And check it out, once we get a pin in there, there. Whew. Look at that. Pretty cool, huh? That wasn't so bad. And it's gonna stay on there. Like, this ain't going anywhere. All right. Take this off and do the rest. Okay, I'm gonna take my number 4 Comf creaser here and begin to work on the edges. Now what I'm gonna do, since I'm going to have my belt loop come down here, I'm going to start my creasing a little bit higher than that, just because I don't want there to be like when you run off of it, you're gonna see a little bit of overlap if you go too far down. That'll make more sense here in a minute. But right now I'm just trying to get like this initial crease in here. So I'm not going extremely hard on it yet. And then we can go back over it again later and put in our final sort of crease. All right, so now I'm gonna go through and burnish the edges of this strap here. And I'm pretty upset with myself because I cannot find my saddle soap. I just moved not too long ago, and I used to have a nice workshop. Now I don't. We sold the house. So things are kind of, a couple of things got lost in the shuffle along with my damn saddle soap. So anyways, I'm going to use this Tokonol, which is great. I mean, this works so nicely for, getting like mirror finishes on small goods and stuff. I just prefer the saddle soap for straps. I think it finishes just a tad nicer and is a little bit faster, but this will work just fine. I really shouldn't be complaining. I just wish I knew where it was. So anyways, I'm going to put this on. If you've got, something else like the, whatever they call that stuff, the gum, that's fine too. I'm just going to give you a quick sort of demonstration here. Now the way that I typically do this is I've got this nice little mitt that I actually had somebody make for me. This is just heavy canvas, and for belts, this thing is awesome. Can't beat it. Don't use like for like a wallet, you might use something like this, and that's all fine and good, but for a belt, this thing is money because you can grab it like that and do both sides at the same time. I mean, how slick is that? So obviously this is going to take some work, and I'm going to go through and completely burnish this whole side. So I'm not going to film the whole thing, but that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to go out and buy some more saddle soap. Okay, so I've cut a strip of leather here, a little longer than I'm probably going to need, but this is going to be for my keepers. This is about 14 mil wide. And, you know, this is probably going to be a bit more than I need, but I'm going to use this to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 keepers. I'm going to put a little bit of extra work into these and form them. So I've gone ahead and cased this leather just using a wet sponge to get it wet. I've done both the flesh side and the grain side and kind of let it sit until it's starting to dry back out again. So I feel good with that. Now I'm going to go ahead and run a edge beveler here on the flesh side, or the kind of fuzzy side. We're gonna hold off on the green side because we still need to run a creaser down the edge here. And if I take that edge off, like I said, I'm not gonna have that nice 90-degree angle for the tool to reference. So we wanna hold off on that. We're gonna just do this for right now. All right, so now that I've got this beveled on the flesh side, I'm gonna go through and start my bead. And I'm using that same number 4 beater. And I am just going to begin to put in my crease. And I'm gonna go pretty light at first, and then come back over it again with a little more pressure. All right, so now we're going to begin to form our loops. So since we've got it beveled here and creased here, we'll go back and crease it again. And remember, this has been cased, so it's got a little bit of pliability to it. We're gonna go ahead and take our loop stick, or mine's metal, they can be wood. It's probably better to be made out of wood, honestly. And then I've got a scrap piece of the strap here that's the same size. So this is functionally basically like 2 thicknesses thick, because this is going to be going over 2. So what I want to do is I want to begin to size this so I know how big it needs to be. And then we can go through and start skiving it and attaching it. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to, you want there to be an overlap, because we're going to skive it, glue it, and stitch it. Okay, so I want the overlap to be about that much. I'm going to say, yeah, about that much. I don't know, maybe 3/4 of an inch, let's say. So I'm just gonna kind of put my thumbnail on there because it's been cased. You can clearly see where it needs to be. And then I can take a knife, whatever kind of knife you have, doesn't really matter, and cut it. And now I've got my strap keeper. So then what you're going to do is essentially there's going to be, like I said, that overlap, and we're going to skive down the grain side on one side and the flesh side on the other. And if we do it just right, it's going to match up perfectly, and you're not going to be able to tell that there's like, it's going to look seamless. Okay. All right. So you can take any knife you want. So here's my mark. I'm going to use this little piece of glass. I like to skive on that. And I'm going to hold it down with my other hand. Okay. And just like that. All right, so feel pretty good about that. I might take just a hair off, going to that feather edge. Okay, clean it up just a little bit, and that'll be good. Might even take just a little bit off further up at the top. Okay, so you got one side, grain side up, down to a feathered edge. Now the other side, I'm going to, see, like obviously like this is what you're going for. But in order to do that, I need to take this off. So right at my mark. So you're gonna go obviously at like a low angle. Kind of check where you're coming out. And I feel good about that. I'm gonna clean that up a hair. Okay, now, dun, 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 it's gonna overlap just like that. And when you look, ta-da, that's how you're gonna make it. Now I'm gonna glue this and stitch it, and then we're gonna form it and let it dry. We're gonna put some more creases on it. We gotta finish the edges and we're done. All right, I'm gonna hit this with a little bit of good old Aqualim 315. This is one of my favorite glues. Not too much, just a thin little layer. My recommendation is to complete one, do a test fit, and make sure it fits the way you want, and then form your little assembly line for the other 4. Or obviously if you only have maybe like 3 bells, then you don't need to have as many keepers. But since I opted for the big old 5 bell here, it's gonna take a little bit more work, but obviously you can sell it for more money, so more work, more money. There you go. This is gonna take just, I don't know, 2-3 minutes to set up. So I'm gonna leave that there, and in the meantime, I'm gonna kind of get myself ready for the next round. All right, so it's been a couple minutes. My glue feels like it's ready, and I'm gonna form this around my loop because I want it to be snug. And make sure you don't glue it all cockeyed. Get it on there straight. And all right. Now that feels good. We're gonna go through and we're gonna kind of hammer this down a little bit later, but first, first thing I'm gonna do is give it just a tiny bit of a crease. Just kind of clean that up. Since I guess I will be able to come back to it later, but might as well. And we will burnish these edges at the end. All right, just got some simple Vinny bow thread, about a arm's length here. Nothing real special about this process. I'm not gonna teach you how to saddle stitch here, but just gonna throw a little bit of beeswax on. And then we're just gonna stitch this up real quick. Got John James needles, nothing fancy there. Can't remember what size they are. Either the number 2s or the number 4s, I think. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and punch my holes for stitching. I grabbed number 8 KS blade punch. These are 3.85s. Doesn't have to be this. You can kind of do whatever you want. I would recommend you don't go too close to the SPI. Definitely don't use like a 10 SPI or something like that. But I'm gonna put it right smack in the middle. And being that I'm using the metal loop, I'm gonna make damn sure that I am not going to go too far and punch into the metal, because that'll ruin my irons real quick. Okay, so that feels good. I'm actually gonna use an awl just to kind of help myself out here and open these holes up a bit. There we go, that's better. That's really gonna help me get these in. Perfect. It's not really a good way to secure these into a stitching pony. Maybe there is, I don't know. I don't have a solution for you other than just sort of deal with it, suffer through. Now we're going to form our keepers. And the way in which I'm going to do that is I'm going to get a polished shoemaker's hammer. I know this is kind of risky, but I'm going to use this glass underneath. I'm not hitting it so hard that I'm worried about it. Actually, what would probably be better is using the granite countertop that I've got here, but and obviously this is gonna kind of take away your crease, so you're gonna have to hit that again. And then let this dry. And then I'm gonna burnish the edges, but this is kind of the idea here. And I'm gonna clean this up a bit off camera. Final step, I like to do this. This is completely personal preference. You could put like a little star kind of thing, or like a diamond, or nothing. You could leave it blank. But I'm gonna put a little X in there because I think it looks pretty cool. And yeah, I just like the style of it. It's kind of tricky to do. Oh, maybe not, I don't know. But you use a tickler. Just like that. Okay, I'm happy with that. I think that looks cool. Now you leave that to dry completely, and then make 4 more, and we're done with this project. Seems like a lot of work, and I guess it is a lot of work. But I mean, like I said, if you want it to be as nice as you can possibly make it, I'm happy with this. I'm gonna be done with this project, be super excited about it. I think it's gonna be an awesome gift. Okay. I went and put a gold foil stamp right on the tip there. I think that looks really good, having that gold foil. So now what we can do is our final assembly. So I've got all of my blocked and stitched keepers. I bet this took me about an hour to do all of them. Maybe I'd get faster at it if I kept at it, but all right, so here's what we're gonna do is get your bell and make sure that you don't do it upside down. You don't want the number to be facing the incorrect way. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab a keeper and I'm gonna slide it over both of the straps up towards the top. Put this in, flip it up, grab a pin and see how just a little bit of the hole is sticking through. It might be a little snug and that's okay. Boom, just like that. Same thing. Okay. Oops. And there you have it, guys.